or something.
Many people have submitted a script. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is Preston Poulter, Pocket Jacks Comics, joined by the amazing John Lamont, who once again, what are you over like $5,000 in 24 hours for your latest project, Spirit of the Dragon 5? That's fantastic.
Is that salt?
Yes.
No. I'm proud.
It'll be weathered night.
Awesome.
Look, my mother was very emotionally attached to the movie that debuts every Christmas of It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
All right. And she tells me this story about where she was like, I don't know, maybe life is bullshit. And she watched this movie, and this angel came down and was like, you know what? If you weren't here, then other people's lives would be negatively affected. And because you were here, other people's lives would be positively affected. So I was here. And because I was here, John Lamont has Spirit of the Dragon 5 on Kickstarter.
Mm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, John. But how we doing?
9,600.
8,600 in how many hours?
Day and a half.
Day and a half. Day and a half.
Good shit.
Good
Congrats.
shit. There you go. Congratulations, my good friend, John Lamont. In the past, many times we have said this is a John Lamont script, and by that we meant this is a script that's going to make a lot of money on Kickstarter and feature some brown boobs. And for that, we are appreciative.
I'm sure you are.
I like multicolor. I don't typically indiscriminate
Rainbow
my color of
boobs.
boobs.
Like women disrobe and across their nipples is like the pride flag. And
Maybe I should do that on my next.
Yeah, exactly. His next one is just gonna be like pride flag in place of nipples, because it's all the same, really. Fantastic. Thanks all so much for supporting John Lamont for $8,600. I mean, that's better than Palace 5. And I saw some new pages from Palace 5 today, and those pages look pretty sexy, but they're not a John Lamont script. So I need to fire myself and hire John Lamont.
I mean, I don't know if it's a John Lamont thing so much as it's like he's really zeroed in on that school teacher fetish. It is cover variants.
Pretty high.
Yeah, a lot of school teacher porn. Anyway.
What am I going to do next year when I'm no longer in a school?
Yeah, your shit. You're gonna have to sell on your art.
Yeah. Look, there's an upside to marketing to a fetish and a downside. Okay, I speak from experience. And now let's take a look at D&D: The Five Kingdoms Are More Soul at Stake, Part 1, The Awakening. And we even have a long line here on the title. So this is by Dracus Knox. I don't even know his real name, but he came from Stage 32. And hello to everyone out there from Stage 32 who's watching this. I'm here to tell you that success is attainable, and you don't even need to pay third parties to come back with mediocre opinions.
We've got lots of mediocre opinions for you.
We have many mediocre
and
opinions.
You're correct.
Right
We
now,
do not charge.
Free. We're absolutely free. Mediocre opinions are free of charge. So, towards that end, Dracus Knox has submitted his script and would like some of our mediocre opinions about a dragonborn ranger and his band of mercenaries race against time to unite a fractured kingdom before an ancient evil consumes the land. So, hooray for D&D scripts, because I got one, and Danny kind of has one.
Yep.
Yeah. And we have Dungeons & Dragons inspired. I don't know if you've consulted with your legal team, Dracus Knox, but Dungeons & Dragons is a trademark term. And legally, if they said, you know what, you kind of owe us some royalties for using our name in your marketing, they might have a case. So you should possibly eliminate that particular phrase.
What is it?
And also from the title above.
World's most popular.
Yeah, the world's most popular role-playing game, you see. That's not trademark. So,
And isn't Hasbro doing terribly? They will sue you. They want all of those royalties.
Yeah, they do want to. Did you mean to go get you some water?
Please give me some water.
All right, before we start reading, I'm going to go fetch some water. Meanwhile, we're once again joined by Diane, who has spent the last many days taking a script and translating it to storyboards. Why don't you tell everyone about that process? Because many people have asked, is basically making a comic book like doing the storyboards for a movie, and you are in a position to tell them yes or no. I'll get some water to be right back.
I look forward to how you say no.
Say that again?
I look forward to hearing how you say no.
It is actually very similar because all of it deals with composition and flow and intent and how to basically translate the story visually. And now the problem with a good deal is that I don't have word balloons generally to work with. And I am also have to work with a collaborative process, just like in many comic books, where you're kind of at the mercy of the artist, the inks, and the colors. So, but then with that, you can actually make it kind of crude, or you can make it as detailed as you want. You do need to figure out how to express characters, how to relay the plot. And the thing is that it is difficult depending on what you wanted to say and the emotions behind it and everything. So I came from animation. So one of the things that I have to remember is that I don't do every motion, because my stuff, I have to look at the script. I have to draw basically every movement. That if I want the character to look up, it has to look up. You have to put the arrows there, and then all the hand gestures have to be projected in the board in order to ship it to Japan or Korea for the actual animation to be done. With comic books, you don't actually have to do that, but in a lot of the storyboards I do, but then I also have to be reliant on actors that have to do it. Really, you have to tell them this person looks at this person. Yes, you have to actually show that, but emotionally you can give them notes, but really the actor has to do it their way. So, and then you also have the director. So,
and we have
the mercy of the weather, and the mercy of the set and production and lighting. Oh my God, I'm very terrified. so
towards that end, we have Draco Snox here present. So
hello.
He's going to hear his work evaluated by this wonderful panel.
Draco, why don't you come on the channel?
That is a good question. Anyway, who wants to narrate this script?
Shotgun, not me. I have a terrible sore throat right now, so I'm
Do you want to read?
I'm sticking to dialogue today.
Okay, thank you.
I'll narrate if you want.
Interior crypt day. Okay. Sunlight. Sorry, did you want to do it, John?
No, it's fine. You're not yourself out.
Interior crypt day. Sunlight pierces the gloom, illuminating the forgotten chamber. Cobwebs cling to the vaulted ceilings, where the centuries-old murals depict battles waged against a skeletal monarch. Stone sarcophagi line the walls, each etched with the insignia of a fallen king. A tremor shakes the chamber, dust cascading from the arches. A gnarled hand, skeletal and adorned with rings of black and silver, erupts from the largest sarcophagus. A guttural groan fills the air as the Lich King heaves himself upright, his skeletal frame wrapped in tattered royal robes.
I gotta say, that's some good direction.
That is actually
Excellent job. Finally, the seal is broken. My time has come again.
icy blue light flickers in his hollow eye sockets. His skeletal jaw creaks as he speaks.
Evermore, once you defied me, now you will tremble before my might.
A chilling wind gusts through the crypt, extinguishing torches and plunging the chamber into darkness. The Lich King raises his arms, summoning a swirling vortex of shadows. His laughter echoes through the tomb and promises of impending doom. Exterior.
Question. Who came in and lit the torches in the first place?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
That's a good question.
And since we're interrupting to ask questions, if the chamber is in darkness, how can we see a swirling vortex of shadows?
And indeed, if the chamber is in darkness, how can there be torches?
Yes, these are all good questions, but I wish to respond. This is fantasy. There you go. The chamber is both
Well, that's a
lit
cheap answer.
and in darkness because it's fantasy.
All right.
Well,
Alright.
when the torches were extinguished, it plunged the chamber into darkness, but we could still see shadows. That was my
Yes.
question.
Oh, yeah, no, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
all.
that makes more sense.
All right.
But anyway, shall we move on to the forest?
Okay. Exterior forest day. Sunlight. Hey, we have sunlight. Filters through the leaves of an ancient oak, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. Kithral, a towering dragonborn with emerald scales gleaming in the light, sits cross-legged in meditation. His eyes, the color of molten gold, are closed, his expression serene. A falcon, its wings beating in the air, descends from the sky and lands gracefully on Kinthral's outstretched arm. A small scroll secured to a crimson ribbon, is clutched in its talons. Kithral gently unrolls the scroll, and his eyes scanning the urgent message. His brow furrows and flicker of concern crossing his face, and he strokes the falcon's feathers, whispering the words of gratitude before releasing the bird back to the sky.
The Lich King, awoken from his slumber. Aramor is in peril.
He rises to his feet, and the sense shush.
I'm just thinking of what if his reply was, "That's just like your opinion, man."
Oh yeah, I'm totally channeling the dude today.
Yeah,
That's your opinion.
the opinion, man.
He rises to his feet, a sense of urgency radiating from him. He strides towards his companions who are practicing their combat skills nearby.
A dwarf warrior, a human. No, sorry. Oh, you got the formatting wrong. I see.
Yeah, he does have the
Iron
formatting
Company
wrong.
to me.
So that's your line right here, Diane.
Oh, is
A
this?
dwarf warrior. Yeah, this is dialogue, and that's action.
Oh, okay. That's weird. Okay.
Yeah, I know it's weird.
Iron-
It's because it's not right. But
Okay.
whatever.
Okay. A dwarf warrior, a human rogue, and an elf mage gathered around Kithral, their faces mirroring in concern.
The Lich King has returned. We ride for Aramor. Our time to unite the kingdoms has come.
They mount their horses, a sense of purpose fueling their resolve as they ride out of the forest. The sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows that foreshadow the darkness that awaits them. Cut to interior castle armor.
I don't know. I didn't write this thing.
Armor. Okay.
I think it's
Castle-
Aramor, the same
Aramor,
city.
yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, we
Aramor.
should be consistent.
Yes.
For
Excuse me.
sensible reasons.
That's why I was. Okay. Interior castle Aramor. Grand Hall day. The Grand Hall is a symphony of opulence and power. Banners depicting the 5 kingdoms hang from the vaulted ceilings, their colors muted in the light of flickering torches, and massive iron throne, adorned with intricate carvings of dragons and griffins, sit atop of the raised dais.
Dais.
Okay, that's a new word for me.
Oh, okay. Well, it's like a raised
Floor.
Yeah, it's a raised platform, particularly for like religious or ritualistic
Okay, all right.
purposes.
Okay, King
And for
Thor-
thrones.
Yeah.
and thrones. King Thorin, a man worn down by years of rule, rests upon the throne. His once vibrant red hair is now streaked with gray, and lines of worry etch his brow. He is flanked by his advisors, Lord Varys, a cunning nobleman with a penchant for political
Political
intrigue. Lady Isolde,
Whatever.
Azole, a wise sorceress with piercing blue eyes, and Sir Gareth, a grizzled knight clad in gleaming armor. The doors of the Grand Hall swing open, admitting Kinthril and the Iron Company. The mercenaries stand tall, their armor dusty and battle-worn, their weapons held at the ready.
King Theron, lords and ladies of the council, we come bearing grave tidings.
Theron
Wait, are
raised-
these the same people? Why can't they just be here? What was the whole point of the other scene? They can just show up here and tell the same thing.
Theron raises his eyebrow, his voice laced with a hint of skepticism.
Speak, Kenthril. What news do you bring from the wilds?
Kenthril steps forward, his voice ringing with conviction.
The Lich King has awoken from his ancient slumber. His evil stirs once more, threatening to engulf Aramor in darkness.
Murmurs of disbelief and armor ripple through the
An
council.
alarm.
Excuse me. Disbelief and alarm ripple through the council. Lord Varys scoffs, his lips curling into a sneer.
Ridiculous! The Lich King is but a legend, a ghost story used to frighten children.
Kinthril meets Varys' gaze, his amber eyes flashing with anger.
I have seen him with my own eyes, Lord Varys. His power is real, and his threat is imminent.
Lady Isolde leans forward, her voice soothing balm in mist. The
mist,
rise
yeah.
and mist. Yeah, I did say that. Right?
Yeah.
And mist.
All right.
The rising tension. Kinthril speaks the truth. I have sensed a disturbance in the
In the
magical currents.
Oh, one great disturbance.
It's more wordy than that, unfortunately.
a dark presence growing stronger by day. Now she's Counselor Choi.
It
It's
is.
Sir Gareth, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword, nods in agreement.
We cannot ignore this warning. The Lich King was a scourge upon this land once before. We must be prepared to face him again.
Thereon, his expression grim rises from his throne.
If what you say is true, then we face a grave threat indeed, but I will not act rashly. I need proof of this Lich King's return before I commit my kingdom to war.
Kinthril bows once more.
We understand, Your Majesty. We will gather evidence of the Lich King's presence and return to you swiftly.
With that, Kinthril and the Iron Company turn and leave the hall, leaving the council to debate the veracity of their claims. Fade 2.
We do not need these transitions. There's a cut 2, there's a fade 2. We don't need them.
It reads like a script.
Well, it is a script, but I'm
Sure,
saying
Star
like
I mean, like a
Wars
movie
too.
script.
I'm just saying like you right now are involved in the storyboarding process.
Yeah.
And so you understand the idea of taking a line or two of direction and from that generating possibly one scene, maybe two, debated by like a couple of other people who are focused specifically on cinematography and why the writer needed to throw in. And we fade to this thing.
No, the
Okay.
writer should do everyone's job. That's the point of a script, right?
Yeah.
It's to do everyone's job for them.
Well, you could just say like you got to turn like
And we're,
this
we're
has
shooting
to
on
be
a
right.
rainy day, so don't forget to bring tents for the actors.
Yeah.
You put that in the script too, right?
Interior castle, Aramore,
Yeah.
throne room day. The heavy doors close behind Kinthril and the Iron Company, leaving King Thorin alone.
Wait, this is not even a new scene. That's the same scene.
Well, now it's a new scene.
Well, someone exited. It's okay to start a new scene.
Grand
when
Hall.
someone exits.
This is
No,
Grand
no,
Hall.
no.
This is
What
the
I
throne
mean is
room.
the paragraph. The paragraph above leads right into this.
No, I
one.
know it's
It doesn't-
continuous. It's
It
totally
doesn't even-
continuous.
It doesn't even
Well,
need
the
a
other
new
one
slug.
was
So you're fading to continuous. Which
Yes,
is
the
Yes.
fading
nasty as
to
shit.
continuous.
Yes,
well, the thing,
that
well,
was my point.
up
My point
here
is
it
it's the
says
same scene.
Is
Well-
a hundo p the same scene?
Yes,
Yes,
because
it
literally it says they leave. Slug line. After they leave, this happens. It's like just
Yeah.
cut the slug. The doors close. They leave. The doors close. This
Are they
happens.
magic doors? Are they Star Trek doors? Are there people closing the doors?
they're magical doors.
Why? It's
Speak, friend.
whatever.
open.
Fine.
So,
The castle
Anyway,
has magical fucking doors. Why do you need a castle if you already have magic doors? You have magic doors. What's the point of the castle?
it's
Anyway.
an enchanted door. Whatever. The heavy doors close behind Kinthril and the Iron Company, leaving King Thorin alone with his advisors. A tense silence fills the room as each member of the council grapples with the implications of mercenaries' warnings. Theron leans forward, his gaze fixed at Lord Varys.
Lord Varys, you seem unconvinced by Kethril's claims. Explain yourself.
Varys strokes his neatly trimmed beard, a sly smile playing on his lips.
Your Majesty, the Iron Company are known for their embellishments. They spin tales of daring exploits and mythical foes to inflate their reputation and, more importantly, their fees.
Obvious red herring bad guy is obvious.
Hey, remember
Lady
this is
Isola.
Or
Isola.
obvious bad guy is obvious.
Yeah. Lady Isola bristles at Varys's insinuation. Kinthril is a man of honor, Lord Varys. I trust his judgment implicitly. Varys raises his eyebrow, his voice dripping with sarcasm.
And you, Lady Isolde, are known for your flights of fancy. Perhaps you and Kithral have conjured up this Phantom Lich King together.
Sir Gareth slams his fist on the table, the sound echoing through the chamber. Who's Gareth?
I don't know. Not me.
Enough! This is no time for petty squabbling. The fate of Aramor hangs in the balance. We must decide whether to heed Kenthrill's warnings or dismiss it as a mercenary's ploy.
Theron nods, his face etched with a mixture of concern and indecision.
You are right, Sir Gareth. We cannot afford to make a mistake. If the Lich King is indeed real, we must be prepared to face him. But if we act rashly, we risk risking plunging our kingdoms into unnecessary war, just like I said on the previous page.
He turns to Lady Isolde.
All right.
Lady Isolde, you spoke of sensing a disturbance in the Force.
In the
Can
Force.
you elaborate?
Sir, the magical currents. Isolde
That's what it's
closes
written,
her.
but you pronounce it the Force.
Isolde closes her eyes, her hands tracing invisible patterns in the air. After a moment, she opens her eyes and her gaze troubled. The magical energies are indeed in turmoil. I sense a dark presence growing stronger, like a storm brewing on the horizon. It is difficult to pinpoint its exact nature, but it feels ancient, malevolent. Thorin leans back on his throne, his fingers drumming on the armrest.
Ancient and malevolent.
Whoops.
Could it be the Lich King that everybody seems to think that it is?
Okay. He glances at His advisors seeking their counsel, but their faces offer no easy answers. The weight of the decision rests solely on his shoulders. Interior castle.
Cut to continuous. Let's go.
Why are we back in the throne room? Why are we still in the
Seems
throne room?
It's continuous.
Okay.
He's doing the director's job for him
Okay.
and
Interior.
deciding when to cut frame.
Okay. Interior.
Maybe the plug line just means cut to it wide.
Okay. Interior castle Aramor. Throne room day. King Theron rises from his throne, his face etched with the weight of his decision. He paces back and forth, his footsteps echoing in the cavernous hall.
We cannot afford to dither any longer. Every moment we hesitate, the Lich King grows stronger. I say with no evidence before me.
I'll be right.
He turns to Kinthril, the Iron Company.
Who's not there anymore.
Oh, yeah, they weren't there anymore.
They specifically are not there. We saw them not be there.
They left
Kinthril,
through the door.
You've teleported back. And have you brought proof with you of the Lich King's return? I will hear it now.
Kinthril steps forward, his voice.
Oh my god, he did. Oh my god. Oh, I have so many notes for later.
Oh my god, so do I.
Kinthril, go.
Sorry, this is Your
Majesty.
We encountered the Lich King's minions on our journey here. They attacked a village, slaughtering the innocent and raising the dead to serve their master. We barely escaped with our lives.
Well, why didn't you lead with that when you came in my throne room? What kind of a ranger are
Here's
you?
one of the zombies. It used to be the village chief. This undead creature will no longer pay taxes to you. I think you have a problem, Your Majesty. No, none of that.
He gestures to Anya, who displays a necklace found at the ravaged village, and it's Macabre.
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 Yeah.
Oh wow, macabre.
That's how you spell it. That's appropriate.
Yep, that is how you spell it. You spell it macabre,
okay.
but it's macabre.
Okay,
It's
macabre
not, in fact,
adornments.
What did you say, Danny?
It's not, in fact, a Scottish name. It's an adjective.
Yeah,
What?
that's an
Macabre?
adjective. Yeah, macabre ornament fashioned from human bone is inscribed with holy runes.
Unholy runes.
Unholy runes.
Oh, like the audience can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, must have like little devil horns or something.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, at least he's not doing the art department's job and showing us what it looks like.
Yeah.
He's just roughly describing it, like the art director.
This is acceptable art direction. I agree.
Yeah. The art director will design it, and they'll come up with something, make it look all fancy and original.
Creepy.
Mm-hmm.
We found this on one of the undead. It bears the mark of the Lich King. A hush falls over the hall as the council members examine the necklace, their faces pale with horror. Lord Varys, however, remains defiant.
Of course he is.
That's you.
This could be a forgery, a trinket planted to deceive us.
Kinthral's eyes narrow, his patience wearing thin.
If you doubt our word, Lord Varys, I challenge you to accompany us on our next mission. See the truth for yourself.
Varys recoils, his bravado faltering.
I have duties here, Your Majesty. I cannot simply abandon my post.
Silence, Wormtongue.
Thorin silences Varys with a raised hand.
Enough. I have heard enough. I believe Kinthril speaks the truth.
He turns to the Iron Company, who somehow is there.
Whatever.
His voice filled.
Look, if you can teleport the leader, you can teleport the rest of them.
Okay,
Sure. Why not?
His voice filled with newfound resolve.
I pledge the forces of Aramor to your calls. We will fight along you to vanquish the Lich King one more.
Interior Castle Aramor War Room Day.
Hey, a new location.
Yay! I mean, technically, you had like the grand hall and the
It's
throne
the same room. Someone just brought a table in.
room.
I've seen the castle before. There's not that many rooms in
It
castle.
really isn't.
Yeah.
It really isn't. The war room is abuzz with activity. Maps of Aramore
Yeah.
are spread out on the tables, marked with troops' movements and strategic points. Advisors huddle together, discussing battle plans and logistics. Kinthril and the Iron Company stand before King Thuron, who is now clad in ornate armor, his face grim but determined.
What the fuck are they doing there? Don't they have a quest? I thought they had a quest. Didn't they have a quest?
Yeah.
Wait, why are they in armor in the throne room in the castle unless the castle's under attack? Our scouts have reported that the Lich King's forces are amassing in the north near the Shadow Mountains. They are led by his most powerful lieutenants, the Death Knights.
The Death Knights are formidable foes, Your Majesty. They wield dark magic and command legions of undead. But we have faced them before, and we will prevail again. So there's
I
no
also
point
I
in
also want to take
before.
this opportunity to say the first appearance of the Death Knight came in Fiend Folio in the original Dungeons and Dragons first edition. It was pretty cool in that it was an undead creature, and in literature, it was a fallen paladin. There was a novel you can go buy off of Amazon or whatever at the time published it. I read called Knight of the Dark Rose about Lord Soth, an elven paladin who had been corrupted and became Death Knight, and they can cast a level 20 fireball, which is pretty cool, as well as power word kill. They have a pretty high armor class, and they can swing for a fair amount of damage. So Death Knights are not to
That
be
sounds
trifled.
really impressive. So instead of seeing one, we should instead talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Danny. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Instead of seeing one wield its dark magic and command legions of undead, we're just going to stand around and talk about them
Yeah.
because that's so much more interesting.
Who's Kethril? Is that?
That's me. The Death Knights are
You're on
formidable
Nod.
Just read that.
and a spark
Oh, yeah.
of hope.
Oh,
in
let
them.
him give
Oh,
his
I'm
line.
sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Your Majesty, they wield dark magic and command legions of undead, but we have faced them before and will prevail again.
Theron nods, and a spark of hope in his eyes.
I have faith in you, Kethril. You and your Iron Company are the best warriors in Aramore.
He turns to his advisors.
Gather our armies. We march for the Shadow Mountains at dawn. That's why I'm in my armor right now.
The advisors.
Wait, how long do we think it takes to muster an army? A couple hours? You just go to every town, be like, hey, we need half of your menfolk? And no one will complain. Just like, yeah, let's go. Oh, 3 hours? Okay, let's get kitted up. Go totally not get murdered by the Death Knights.
Well, it takes
Sorry,
like, what,
honey,
5
I know you
minutes
just
in
gave
Game
birth
of
to our next
Thrones
child,
or
and Harvest
Lord
is
of the
coming
Rings,
soon.
right?
Fine, you go get killed by a Death Knight.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't take a day. Jesus.
It sometimes does because you got to get supplies.
It takes many days to put together an army.
It does.
Especially if you don't have a standing army. Which, anyways, whatever.
The advisors salute, their voices echoing in unison.
Yes, Your Majesty.
As the advisors disperse to carry out their orders, Kinthril approaches Theron.
Your Majesty, there is one more thing. We believe the Lich King seeks a powerful artifact known as the Soul Stone. It is said to be hidden somewhere in the Shadow Mountains.
The Soul Stones? How did you receive this information? Out of your butthole? I have heard tales of its power, but I have never believed them to be
told
true.
that by the letter that was attached to the Falcon in the scene that didn't matter.
Yeah.
Don't
Oh,
you
is that
remember
what the Falcon was all about?
I don't know. We didn't see the fucking letter, did we?
I didn't remember a letter that I didn't remember the Falcon having a letter.
He unrolled a scroll. I figured the
He
Falcon
had a
had a
scroll.
Yeah.
Falcon,
Oh,
known to be homing birds.
I totally missed the Falcon giving him a letter.
And they don't
I was wondering where he
peregrinating
got
at
all this
all.
information from.
All I'm here to say, when you have like a cast of a bunch of writers, they will feel free to poke holes in any plot elements you leave open to such behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay to have a falcon as a messenger in
Yeah.
a fantasy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's fine. I just
Yeah.
totally
The
forgot
Falcon wasn't
and
the problem.
missed the
The
part that he
fact
was
that
a
we spent
messenger.
8 pages being told about this threat instead of seeing anyone being threatened is the problem.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the real problem. But we'll get to that later. When we're...
May I continue?
Yeah.
Yes,
Everyone-
please.
Brow furrows.
Then we must find the Soul Stone before he does. It is our only hope.
The
Oh,
legends are true, Your Majesty. The Soul Stone does make the bad guy even badder. If he obtains it, he will be unstoppable.
Theron's face hardens,
So
and then
what idiot left it in some fucking mountains instead of under lock and key somewhere?
Yeah.
Then we must find the Soul Stone before he does. It is our only hope.
he places a hand on Kinthral's shoulder.
May the gods be with us, Kenthril.
And with you, Your Majesty.
And now we have a cut. That's totally cool. We got a cut.
We're moving to a new location, so it's a little bit okayer than the other planes.
Wait. The writer wishes to say, I love it. Great feedback.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Exterior and Morian plains. Day. The morning sun casts long shadows across the vast plains of Aramor as the vast army, marches towards the imposing silhouette of the Shadow Mountains. Excuse me, I just ate.
They're just going there subtly with a fucking army? They have banners.
In an open field.
It's not subtle.
In an open field, they're plains. There's no you're not hiding in
That's
woods.
where you want to have an army, in an open field. Like, boom.
I'd like to know what studio is giving you at least $100 million for the because that's the budget you're gonna need.
Hey.
Hollywood would charge $100 million. I feel like these days, particularly with like societies of people who dress up in armor and beat the shit out of each other.
Okay,
like
so
you could go to various like medieval MMA / like RP role playing communities and actually summon a whole bunch of people who will show up in armor for you. It won't be matching, but they'll show up in armor.
But it won't match.
you can also multiply this. You can do
but how many? Right, but my point is, you're gonna need, if you want an army, you're gonna need 5,000 of them. You're not gonna find 5,000 LARPers unless you're busting them in.
Cinematography.
You can actually do that with trick photography, yes. By doing it in grids.
You can jigsaw them,
merging them together.
You can do it. You can just copy and paste them in.
Literally, you can. You just film them in different grids.
But that's not.
No, you can film them in different grids, and and merge them together. Yeah.
But that still costs money. That's my whole point.
I mean, it used to cost a lot of money. You could do that.
But if you have a fantasy script, you're going to spend some money. That's what everyone is discovering. Fantasy scripts require a certain amount of income, not an amazing amount, but more than you expect when you're first writing it. How's that?
They're actually extremely expensive.
Or maybe they're very expensive.
They're very, very expensive.
Fantasy is one of the more expensive things.
No, fantasy
you could just go in a concrete room.
Yeah.
And shoot some stuff. Fantasy is like you got to build a set. There's a ton of costuming.
Period films and fantasies are like
and just wait until the dragons show up, because you can't have a fantasy movie without a dragon nowadays.
Sure, you can.
Yeah, there's already the Lich King and so many Death Knights. We haven't seen. We've seen the Lich King barely. So actually, it's being very cost efficient right now.
True. It's very cheap to put a bunch of people in a room and have them talk for 10 minutes. That's very cheap in a movie.
You can build the room because it's a fantasy script.
We're almost to page 10.
All right.
All your caustic criticism can be delivered.
Okay, ready? Okay. Exterior Aramorian plains. Day, the morning sun casts long shadows across the vast plains of Aramor, and a vast army marches towards the imposing silhouette of the Shadow Mountains. Banners bearing the sigils of
sigils.
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 Yeah.
Okay, sigils of the five kingdoms flutter in the breeze, and the testament to the newfound unity
Forged
in the face of impending doom. Again, there's impending doom.
Yeah.
Kinthro rides at the vanguard, his dragonborn form, a beacon of hope amidst
Yep, there goes the budget.
Amidst a sea of armored warriors, and he is flanked by the Iron Company, their expressions grim but resolute. Behind them, thousands of soldiers march in perfect formation, their footsteps drumming a steady rhythm against the earth.
Question: why is the mercenary captain leading someone's royal fucking army?
Because they're good. They're competent. They know how to
What happened
win.
to that guy who didn't trust anyone? Surely he has some objections.
Well, also, like, they're mercenaries, right? Because they're just
Yeah.
like,
Well, is
this
this entire army mercenaries, or is he in charge of the royal
Machiavelli
crew?
has many chapters on mercenaries, usually involving not trusting them because all they care about is money.
yeah, you really shouldn't have a mercenary to do your army unless they have something happen.
A mercenary general.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and you did introduce a soldier on the council. So really, and I forget his name, but he would be a better person to be leading
Sir
the
Gareth.
army.
Oh yeah,
Sir Gareth.
and there was a
Sir
king
Gareth.
on the council. Kings are usually good for leading armies. It's one of the things.
King does not lead the army. He is in the back watching everybody else die.
Well, you know, maybe sometimes they do. Historically, that definitely happens.
Yes.
But anyway, you have a perfectly good person to lead the army. He should be leading the army. Let's continue.
Yeah, I agree with Sir Gareth should be.
Let's just read page 10 and then get on with it.
Okay.
Yes.
Boren.
Otherwise we'll never get through page 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Boren, the dwarf warrior.
Wait. We have a note from the author here. What does he say? So
he was a former military when he created the Iron Company.
Okay.
We would like that to be in there. Like
okay, and did mercenaries ride in the vanguard of any of your operations? Probably not.
Okay, so if you're going to do that, I recommend that the king actually point to them and say, like, you're going to lead my army. And you can actually have conflict with Sir Gareth on that.
So we can't have conflict. There's new unity. You just read it because of the impending doom. That's why there's no conflict.
Let's continue page 10. We have much more to say, but let's get through page 10.
All right. Boren, the dwarf warrior, grunts as he adjusts his pack.
Feels good to be back in the saddle. Hey, lass, nothing like a good fight to warm the blood.
Anya, the rogue, flashes a wiry smile. Just try to keep up, old timer. I wouldn't want you to trip over your beard and get trampled by the cavalry. Clara, a elf mage, casts a worried glance at the distant mountains. I guess that's me.
That's a spell I'm not familiar with.
I can feel the Lich King's presence growing stronger with every step we take. We must be cautious.
They have an army.
Kinthril nods, his gaze scanning the horizon for any sign of the enemy.
We will not underestimate him this time. Okay. We will strike swiftly and decisively.
The horn blares, signaling the halt. King Theron, riding a majestic white stallion, hey, he's there, appears at the head of the column.
Warriors of Aramor, we stand. Oh, I get to do my speech. Yay! We stand on the precipice of a great battle. The fate of our kingdoms rests upon our shoulders. We fight not only for our own lives, but for the future of our children. Today, we shall show the Lich King that Aramor will not yield to darkness.
A roar erupts from the army.
Yay!
A primal cry of defiance that echoes across the plains. The march resumes. The sound of thousands of footsteps growing louder with every stride. The Battle of Aramor has begun.
Question just before we move on. Who are they fighting? And was that shown anywhere? Did their enemy show up at all in any of the scene, or is it just the army just standing in the middle of a plane yelling at themselves?
Well,
Yelling
page
at the
1 is
mountains.
the title page. Maybe that'll be on page 11.
They charge the mountains. Take that, mountains.
Page 11. Oh, wait. Here we go. We have a note from the writer himself who says, funny enough, it's in the book that I'm creating for the series.
Okay, well, your book has the same problems, dude. Work on that.
Yeah, I know. Exterior Shadow Mountains
doesn't make it better, it makes it worse. It means you didn't think it through twice.
Exterior Shadow Mountains, Mountain Pass Day. The once sunlit path winds through the narrow path, sunlight barely reaching the path as imposing peaks rise on either side, casting long shadows that seem to twist and writhe with malevolent intent. The Amorian army trudges through the airy stillness. The once confident clamor of their march is now hushed, replaced by the crunch of boots on loose gravel and the nervous snorts of their mounts. Born, the dwarven warrior squints his eyes, scanning the jagged cliffs above.
Feels like these mountains are watching us.
Anya, the ever vigilant, draws her daggers, her eyes darting from the shadow to shadow. There probably are. Kinthrol raises a hand, signaling a halt. The army comes to a standstill in the silence amplifying their unease.
Something's not right. Too quiet.
How can it be quiet with an army marching?
Well, also, what are they afraid of? They're supported by a fucking army. When you have a fight, people are like, you and what army? They can point behind them and say, this one. It's right there. It's not even a hidden army. It's right there.
Okay.
Kethro, you have a line.
Something's not right. Too quiet.
As if on cue.
Oh, shit.
As if on cue. The blood-curdling shriek pierces the air, echoing through the pass. A flock of ravens bursts from the cliffs, their black wings blotting out the sun. As a wave of skeletal archers appears on the slopes above, their bows drawn taut. The volley of arrows rains down, piercing through the shields and armor, finding their mark in the flesh of unsuspecting soldiers.
What's the point of the armor then?
The chaos erupts as the army scrambles for cover. The Death Knights, clad in blackened plate armor, emerge from the shadows, their spectral swords glowing with unholy energy.
All right, that's it. That's 11 pages, one with the title page right there. We're going to stop at the end of page 11. Congratulations, Dracus Knox. You have submitted a fantasy story, and it does some fantasy stuff. We have a clash of armies. I think we got some good versus evil action. We lead up to a battle, which is not boring, right? And the bad guys seem bad. At least the good guys are certainly telling us the bad guys are bad.
And Varys is a character.
And and people are there and doing stuff. So awesome. What do you think, John?
Oh, okay. The art direction is gorgeous. That definitely is your strong suit. Like, the way you write out your scenes are really good. Like, we commented all in the very beginning. I mean, besides the thing about the torches, but that notwithstanding, like the way you describe some of the, and even in this last part, the way you talk about the crows blotting out the sun, like, it's just, the art direction is just, it's on point, and that's definitely a strong suit for you. So it really makes, and Preston should be happy. I'm surprised you didn't bring it up. You're very good with your use of active voice. So it
I mean, I
creates.
was actually going to say so many of the dialogue lines here are passive. This is that. This is that. The Lich King is strong.
Well, the dialogue's a whole other issue, but
Okay.
the art direction is on point and creates a very visual world. It's not difficult to actually visualize in your head when you're reading the art direction point. The dialogue, we'll get to that later, but yeah, that was a whole other piece.
I agree. The art direction was very good. The formatting was on point. This was not a difficult script to read in terms of any of these technical features. Furthermore, as far as a fantasy story goes, you have many totally bog standard and appropriate moments that appear in fantasy stories. You have a villain coming back from the dead and demanding revenge, and you have a council scene and a council scene and a council scene
There's a lot
and a council scene, and then you bring people back for a council scene.
It feels a little like Phantom Menace.
And then you have an army wandering around screaming, and there's a big speech, and you technically have a gang of heroes. So you have all the things that you need in a story like this.
Constructive. All right. So as I mentioned, the dialogue is amazingly passive. You have really strong art direction, but people show up and say, this is this. The army is evil. That is strong. This is this thing over here. We haven't seen that. Like everything, like almost every action line is passive voice. I don't know why. Like there could be so many active voice statements here that would improve the scene. We must summon the army. We have to defend our homeland. I mean, even that's a passive statement. But whenever people are talking, they're saying this is this. The Dark Army is strong. The bad general is bad. The omen is bad. Like it's everything is very and I feel like this is the time for fantasy people to say strong statements about vanquishing evil and accomplishing good. And I would like for the dialogue to be improved. Danny.
All right, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Diana.
Well, you're next. Go ahead.
All right. I don't have that problem with the dialogue. The dialogue is a problem for a completely different reason, which is that it removes all stakes and tension from the story shockingly quickly. We have a protagonist on page 2 who was literally kicked out of the room on page 3.
And then appears.
And then other people talk about, like, what the hell is that? And then it's like, oh yeah, I know everything. And there's death dice, and it was so dangerous. Guys, it was the most dangerous shit. Can I borrow your entire population and go attack a mountain? That would be awesome. And then the king fucking lets him? Like, what? Like, you have not demonstrated any stakes. The Lich King doesn't do anything evil.
Yeah, what if he wakes up and decides he wants to give universal health care to everybody?
What if he wakes up and really wants revenge on somebody who died 1,000 years ago? He's like, okay, well, right, I'm an undead monster. I'm just gonna go study some magic now and learn how to travel the outer planes. Like, no one knows what his actual agenda is. Certainly, like, we're told about these dangerous death dice. Fucking show that to us. Don't tell us. Like, this entire story is telling instead of showing, to the point that you take the protagonist, who you mentioned specifically in the log line, and kick him out of story for 5 out of the 10 pages that we just read. That's the problem.
Basically, the worst thing that Lich King did was just wake up.
It's the only thing.
He farted really hard, and the torches went out, and someone paid.
He woke up and snuffed some torches out.
Yeah.
You have to pay a child to go in there and light the torches. It's a giant hassle, and like he caused someone at least an hour of trouble.
I mean, like, you have any idea how much light like the lamplighters make it?
There you go.
So yeah, so far that's all he's done
for a reason.
But yeah, I would like to see him. I would like to have seen why he is bad. Because he could just be waking up and just going like, "Hey, I'm gonna have a party."
I'm an
So-
adorable lich. Everything that's been said about me is misinformation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, oh,
Yeah, he just wakes up and he's like, "No, that's fake news. Stop it."
Exactly. Yeah.
it's like
I
I
don't know
didn't wake
why
up
people
at
keep
all.
trying to kill me.
I just
It's
snuffed
all
some
liberals.
candles out.
Yeah.
So,
And then suddenly they're like up against zombie Trump. I would read
Yeah.
the fuck out of that.
like,
Yeah.
also, like,
Yeah.
the thing is this: you went to their house. You like literally went to the Shadow Mountains. Like, you're technically intruding on them.
Yeah.
With an army. And
They're
then
just
you got this
protecting
scene of
their
everyone being
house.
afraid of like nothing, but they literally are backed by an army. If it
Yeah.
was 4 guys going through the hills, ooh, it's too quiet. Oh no, we might be sneak attack.
So
And then there's a
this
fucking
story
army
is really
behind
about
them.
colonization and,
Yes.
and the costs associated with the gentrification of the neighborhood.
So what you have is
Yeah,
you have a
this is
group
just
of people.
NIMBY bullshit. I
You
don't want
have
to
a-
support these protagonists at all.
You have a group of people that sit around in a conference room and basically try to make up and stories about the inhabitants of another land, paint them as bad guys so that they have an excuse to go and invade their land and take it
Yeah.
over.
This is just a racist homeowners association.
Yeah, this script is racist. We have discovered.
No, I kind of have to agree with
Oh,
that.
script is racist. There we go.
I'm
They're
agreeing with
either
that. Because
racist or
literally,
they're homeowners
they-
association or
the Lich
both.
King hasn't done anything. He hasn't left his house.
Well, they're
He,
not
like,
racist,
left
they're
us as a problem
deadist.
guy. He's still in the Shadow Mountains.
That's true. They're
and then all of
they're
a sudden,
bigots.
the crazy army comes up. It's like, hey.
Backing the humans and the elves is a form of white supremacy. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
But
now, half that line was for Preston's benefit, but my point stands by. They're just like, we don't like the people that moved into the neighborhood. Let's go bring our army and lay down the law. This is like HOA 101. And like, I love that you're being inspired by Reddit. But also, I don't know if this is going to be a good story in the long run if this is their attitude towards strange people living nearby.
yeah, he just woke up. But I can tell you this: you could have, say, King Thorin orders the Iron Company to go do reconnaissance, and then they go to
then the
that
Iron
area
Company
as a
like heroes of
small.
the story, and we can't
Yeah.
have that.
Okay. So in all honesty, so you had a paragraph which they said, "Oh, the undead army is doing XYZ in some village," and we all commented on, "Yeah, we need to see that." That paragraph, that needs to be your first 10 minutes, not what we just read.
Yeah.
Quite literally. We need to see shit happen. And honestly, my recommendation to kind of fix a lot of this would be we need to see shit happen. We need to see villages burn. We need to see people being murdered. And then
put on pikes.
And
I want an
then
emotional reaction. Yeah.
you can have your mercenary company who are maybe doing, or maybe you can introduce your mercenary company, have them do something. They go to a they do some big epic action set piece to open your story. They get the MacGuffin, they go back to the village to return the MacGuffin to the village elders. They get their paid. We get to learn about the characters. You know, maybe the mercenary guy, former soldier, is a disgruntled former soldier who had a falling out with the king. You know, your stereotypical dwarf is a drunkard. You know, whatever. And they're all in the village after returning the MacGuffin and getting paid. And then the village gets attacked by the undead army. They have to fight them off. They lose horribly. And then they all get together and say, we have to warn the king. And basically you have a large portion of your story where they basically have to travel across the country to get to the castle Aramor to warn the king that one of the guys actually and the king actually hates the main character for reasons that, we'll discover. But anyway, you have a majority portion of, say, your first act is them basically trying to travel across the country, being stopped or being attacked by the Death Eaters or whatever they're called. And these Death Eaters are trying to stop them from getting to the king. And then when they actually arrive at the throne room, then they can actually look battle weary instead of you just telling us they're battle weary, because I guess they walk around in battle-weary armor. And then they can actually arrive with the evidence, and then they could say present it to the king, and then you have the council actually acting like individuals and each having their own individual opinion. The king hates the Iron Company because he hates the leader because maybe the
They
leader
borrowed his
slept,
horse and broke it.
or maybe he slept with his daughter. I don't know. Like you could go any which way you want with it. But then have certain people in the council that are for them and certain people that aren't for them, and then have the council actually have an actual dispute, create more drama that way. And then they spend some parts of Act 2 where they're trying to figure out what they're going to actually do. Maybe maybe the king eventually says, "No, you're full of shit, and I don't believe you." And then something big and bad happens that
Everybody dies.
that forces the king to actually be like, okay, fine, we'll go and do something. Like maybe this loser isn't as much of a loser as he said, or maybe he's still a loser and I hate his guts, but at least he's right in this one instance. Something along those lines. I feel like there's a lot of things you can do with this, but what you presented is not it.
Well, John, that pitch you just gave was really interesting.
I know, wasn't it?
I'd read that.
It would make a hell of a movie too.
Yeah, I'd watch that too. Sounds like my bag.
Dan, have you given your constructive feedback?
Actually, I agree with John.
There we go.
I agree with John with that because literally the Lich King just woke up and everybody says he's bad.
Yes.
So, but yes, we could have like a burning village, or maybe they may not. The Iron Company probably just needed to go there for supplies, and this place was supposed to be like very friendly. They go there and they just see the destruction, and maybe they were attacked by whatever skeletal soldiers they are, and then like say like, well, we should warn the king. Well, he's just like, why? So why should we do that? But then again, you should. But
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily mean like he has to like sleep with the daughter or
no.
whatever.
I was
No.
I'm
I'm
pulling
just saying,
ideas out of.
like because here when you were doing that pitch, and I just went like, the king could be simply a coward. Maybe he usurped the throne, and maybe that's why he left, because he was not the king that was supposed to be. Maybe he stole it, and being
The election was stolen. Oh my god!
Military was
Let's
probably
go.
the general that like was from the former king that he usurped it from.
Or maybe it was his brother and he
Or his
poisoned
brother. Yeah.
because he wanted the throne for himself. And
All right. Well, I'm going to go pitch an alternative, which is the last page we read should be page 1, and everyone should die, and their heroes should just deal with that, and be like, well, we attacked this nation for no reason, and now we killed this army, and there's like no leadership here. And now we have to deal with this Lich King, and these Death Knights are real scary. We're stuck in this spooky mountain. Now we need to go to the next kingdom over and bring some goddamn proof, so that way they don't die too. Because otherwise, this Lich King will, I don't know, turn everyone into zombies and take over the whole world. Oh no, we are outnumbered and running out of supplies. What do we do? That's a fine movie too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. That is. And you could actually is the Iron Company like needed? Could you just have like the guy?
Well,
just,
I mean,
the
yeah, this is
Dragonborn?
the thing. Like, you start by saying there's this gang of mercenaries, and I know they're your D&D party. I get that. But, like, they don't act like mercenaries. They're in front of the army. They're backed by an army, and they're not even... Dude, if you walked down to a literal army behind you, you'd have a lot more confidence. It's an army.
They're
the
a
thing is
D&D
also
party
that
they're not... Sorry, they're not acting like a D&D party, though. If you play a D&D campaign, you're not playing leaders of an army. You're playing a motley band of murder hobos that are going to XYZ location to murder hobo a bunch of people and take their shit. I mean, that's why my immediate suggestion was, and a lot of times in these stories, a lot of the story is about trying to return the world. The world is changing, and the characters are trying to turn the world back to the way it was. So in order for us to even know what the world was like before it changed, and to understand why the characters want to go back to that world, we have to see that world, which is why I suggested, and again, with your D&D murder party thing, they should just show that your D&D party should just show up, murder hobo a bunch of people, steal a MacGuffin, and there you go. And you get to introduce, the other thing too is you introduce a lot of characters way too fast. And like, especially your council. Like, you just
We
did a
spent
bunch of
more
people.
time with them than any of the D&D party.
Right. So anyway,
Also, that the scenery that could all be happening in one room.
Yes.
That is like the throne room, the grand hall, the war room. That could be all one room. You could have maps on the wall. Doesn't have to have a table. You can put it on the wall. So, or you can have
guys
like
show up with a table and then take them down and put them on the table.
yeah, you can take them down, put them on the table, or you can have like what is it? The Sir Gareth actually bring out a map from his satchel that he's wearing right there. Here's a map, and just like start putting like little figurines. This is where they are. This is where they are.
Castle is really focused on the Great Hall, anyways. Like that's pretty much how you do it.
Yeah, just focus on the Great Hall.
I know lots of things about castles.
Yeah, you don't have to do all these changes in background or anything like that. Just put it all in the hall. So
anyways, I think we've given tons of notes.
I think so. All right, let's see. That was a script from last week. And now we're looking at the scripts. The channel is called Script Only. But strangely enough, there's a lot of discussion.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. Curious.
I should go check it out at some point then. Maybe someone says something interesting.
All right.
probably not.
Is Dracus Knox, his other script. Just give me the upload. Boom. Boom. All right. This is script Echoes in the Dark.
can you see that?
I'm working on it. Echoes in the boom. You're there and we're here. Who wants to narrate?
Can you see it?
I can see it. It's right here.
Well, yeah, but they can't see it.
Oh, you're right. Well, they can't see it. Here, I'll present it so they can see it. You guys are missing out.
There
we go. Exterior Albuquerque Riverbank night. The full moon casts long shadows on the shady riverbank where cottonwood trees stand. The sentinel. Boy, that is a great sentence. There's no passage.
This guy knows how to write his art direction. That is very true.
Like this art direction is just banging.
I mean, his writing is great.
Yeah.
The plotting needs work.
The gentle murmur of the Rio Grande, and as a Texan, good on you, is broken by the joyful laughter of a young boy, Diego, chasing fireflies. I miss fireflies.
I do.
I do miss fireflies. Yeah.
I got one.
Neat. Oh, I thought that was Danny, not Diego.
Yeah.
He cups his hands around the glowing insect, his face alight with wonder. Suddenly the air grows cold, the fireflies vanish, a woman's blood-curdling wail pierces the night, a sound of pure anguish and rage. Diego freezes, his eyes wide with terror. The wail grows closer, echoing through the trees.
Mama?
He turns to run, but a shadowy figure emerges from the river mist. It's a woman. Assuming her pronouns already. Her long black hair ripping, her face pale and gaunt. She floats towards Diego, her arms outstretched, her eyes burning with an unnatural light. Diego.
Are we sure this isn't the same script?
His voice lost in the rushing water. The woman reaches for him, her fingers like claws. He struggles, kicking and flailing, but she's too strong. With a final desperate cry, Diego is pulled into the mist. The woman's laugh echoes as she disappears into the river, leaving only silence and the lingering chill of fear. This is great art direction.
It is.
It's really good. Very good, Dracus Knox. Interior Police Station Day. The station is a flurry. Why we got to go past? The station is a flurry of activity. Detectives huddle over desks, phones ringing incessantly. That means nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The atmosphere is tense, fueled by the recent string of child disappearances. As
Okay,
storyboarder, how
we
would
got to
you,
throw out all of our good comments about his art direction. He just went full passive.
as,
He never
as
goes
a
full passive.
storyboarder, how would you illustrate the atmosphere is tense, fueled by the recent string of child disappearances? How would you choose to storyboard that?
Actually, you would probably do a wall and have
Okay.
all the wanted posters or the missing child people.
There you go. Yes.
And then you would
you
do
just sort of pan across
a
that.
pan across.
Yeah, pan across. There you go.
Yeah.
At the center of it all is Detective Ramirez, a hardened cop in his late 40s. His face is etched with the lines of a man who's seen too much darkness. He stares at a corkboard plastered with photos of missing children, his eyes fixated on the latest edition. Diego, a smiling boy with bright eyes and a mischievous grin, the capo of the criminal gang. It didn't actually say that, but still.
Oh.
Ramirez gave shifts to the evidence scattered on his desk. Diego's backpack, a half-eaten candy bar, a single shoe caked in mud. He picks up the shoe, turning it over in his hands, a knot forming in his stomach. Captain Sanchez, a gruff veteran with a no-nonsense attitude, approaches Ramirez's desk. He throws a file down with a thud.
Another one down. Another one gone, Diego Garcia. Wait, why does that name sound familiar? Anyway, parents swear they heard crying by the river last night.
Ramirez nods grimly, not looking up from the shoe.
Lorana, nonsense, I bet. These stories are just for scaring kids.
Ramirez scoffs a humorless sound. Danny, why don't you be a
Folktales don't steal kids, Captain, but something does.
Sanchez
Anything
sighs, running a hand through his thinning hair.
I know, Ramirez. I know. But we're running out of leads.
Ramirez finally looks up, his eyes hard and determined.
We'll find something. We always do.
Sanchez claps Ramirez on the shoulder, a gesture of support. His eyes betray a flicker of doubt. Cut to Diego's house, night. The Garcia house is a modest single-story dwelling, its white paint peeling under the harsh desert sun. The front lawn is overgrown. Toys are scattered haphazardly. A single porch light casts a dim glow on the scene.
If she lived in an HOA, her lawn wouldn't look like that.
Ramirez's unmarked car pulls up the curb. He steps out, his trench coat pulled tight against the evening chill. He approaches the front door, his footsteps crunching on the gravel path. Crunch, crunch, crunch. He knocks, a sound echoing through the quiet neighborhood. After a moment, the door creaks open, revealing Ms. Garcia, 30s Diego's mother. Her eyes are red and swollen, her face etched with grief.
Mrs. Garcia, Detective Ramirez, Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
Oh, okay. I lost the rest of the line.
Sorry, I think she was let me.
Preston.
Stop.
Oh,
Yes. Stop.
I'm going up. All right.
Stop. You're going up, not
We're
going
on
down.
page 3, right? Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about Diego.
Mr. Garcia nods silently, stepping aside to let Ramirez in. The living room is dimly lit, the air heavy with the scent of incense and stale coffee. As a storyboard artist, how would you show that?
Air is heavy with the scent of incense and stale coffee.
Yes.
That's
a tough one.
That is a tough one.
That's a tough one.
Other than like maybe you can see possibly like an altar there where they
with stale coffee on the
no.
Okay.
I mean like the incense
Okay.
out there on like They have it in Coco,
Okay.
so they had a
Deus de Immorta.
yeah.
I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly.
No, but they have like
not, you know,
an
but
Alfrenda,
yes.
an Alfrenda, which is where like they put their ancestors on
Sure.
there and put incense on.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the
Yeah,
stale coffee.
But then the art direction should say, "Hey, the Alfrenda is set out this way," and
No,
Yeah.
we can totally film smells
Yeah.
and also publish them in comic books. That's
There you go.
technology that totally exists.
smell-o-vision.
Yeah.
There it is. Family photos.
Family photos adorn the walls. You think that's gonna like characterize how we smell the scene? I don't think so. All right.
It doesn't have the. Well, I mean, incense has.
How do those family photos smell? That's my question.
They probably smell like mildew.
Mothballs.
Okay. All right. Family photos adorn the wall. Diego's smiling face, a recurring theme. Ramirez sits on the edge of a warm sofa, his notebook in hand.
Can you tell me about the last time you saw Diego?
Miss Garcia's voice trembles as she speaks.
He was playing in the backyard just before sunset. I was making dinner, and I couldn't hear him laughing. Then
She pauses, her eyes filling with tears.
I heard that wail like a wounded animal and ran outside, but he was gone.
Ramirez leans forward, his interest piqued.
A whale? Can you describe it?
Miss Garcia shudders, her voice.
It was a natural, like a woman crying, but so much worse. It chilled me to the bone.
Ramirez nods, a familiar chill running down his own spine. He remembers a similar story from his childhood, a campfire tale told to scare misbehaving children. Diane, as a storyboard artist, how would you draw that?
You're testing me. What the fuck, man? Familiar chill running down.
Diane,
the spine.
it's not you that he's testing. He's trying to make a point that what the writer is doing here is writing unfilmable scenes. These are scenes that cannot
Like,
be filmed.
the script that we got, there was stuff there that I'm like,
she spent all weekend looking at quasi unfilmable lines and going,
Okay.
we can show this. So
like,
yeah,
I'm just kind of going. I
Okay,
just kind of went like,
okay, all
how
right.
do you do that?
I
You can show the
I
stories in the
I just remember us in the writer's stream, and every time I would write my notes in the margins was always, how do you film this? How do
Yeah.
we know this? Are they
Yeah.
wearing a sign that says
Well,
I
Well,
mean,
one of
John,
the
I
lines
still
was
give you
like-
those notes. In
it was
the
I know.
dark, and
Be
it,
right back.
yeah, there was like a line that was there in the script that we were reading. It goes, it makes the inanimate seem animate. And I just went like-
how do you film that?
And I just looked at it and went like, how the fuck do you show that? So, how do you make the inanimate animate? And
That sounds like the director's problem.
that is well, unfortunately, I am the storyboard artist, and apparently I'm going to have to do that
You're
visually.
going to direct it for him, whatever.
And I just looked at it and I just went like, oh fuck.
Which makes
I guess I have a line
now.
now, so let's, like,
And then finally, after like 5 minutes of thinking, I just went like, okay, how about the wind kicks up some dust
yeah.
and it hits like a rock and it just looks like you can see like the dust shadow.
There you go.
And that was like
There
the
you go.
closest thing. And I was like,
Yeah, there you
the
go.
closest
That,
thing. And I went,
flickering
okay.
shadows, lots of options.
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Thank
are
you,
we-
Mrs.
Ramirez's line?
Garcia. I know this is difficult, but any details you can remember might help us find Diego.
Miss Garcia nods again, wiping her eyes with a tissue. Ramirez rises, offering a comforting pat on her shoulder.
We'll do everything we can.
He leaves the house, the weight of Diego's disappearance heavy on his shoulders.
What, did he
feel like
fucking
we're-
do it?
I feel like we're echoing shoulder, but all right. The porch light flickers as he walks away, casting elongated shadows that dance in the darkness as we cut to Ramirez's apartment night. The apartment is sparsely furnished, a reflection of Ramirez's solitary life. Empty takeout containers litter the coffee table. A half-full bottle of whiskey sits on the counter. The only personal touch is a framed photo of young Ramirez smiling alongside his mother, resting on a bookshelf. Ramirez enters, the weight of the day heavy on his shoulders. He tosses the keys onto the counter, shrugs off his coat, and heads straight for the whiskey. He pours himself a generous measure, the amber liquid splashing against the sides of the glass. As someone who enjoys a bit of alcoholic,
You like to imbibe?
I like to imbibe. I appreciate.
You mean besides just tonight?
I appreciate all the loving detail given to this gorgeous amber liquid.
Does that make you thirsty?
Oh boy, he takes a long sip.
You can just imagine.
Look, this is the most direction I've seen it, and it's about drinking some both. Takes a long sip.
I don't think Preston has to imagine drinking whiskey tonight.
Yeah. A temporary distraction from the gnawing on. Are you gonna die? And his gut. He walks to the window, gazing out at the city lights twinkling in the distance.
I think we're on the next page.
Oops,
somebody
Preston
is dying over there.
Super good with scrolling the mouse.
Yeah, all right.
Lorona. They used to scare us with her when we were kids. A ghost story to keep us out of trouble. Oh God, it's VO.
Voiceover. Yes.
We're going film noir now.
She used to call me Sushi, cold fish.
He takes another swig of whiskey. There we go. Oh shit, we got more readers. Welcome, Raymond.
Oh, it's Ray. Sweet.
How are you, Raymond?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
So tell me, now that you're on the other side of doing your Kickstarter for the morning, or They Fear the Morning, or what is it? It's something in the morning.
I hate the morning.
I hate the morning. Yes, that one. What do you think of the experience? Are you happy with the results?
Hang on a second.
Okay.
I got a call coming in.
Well, you came on and you went out. All right, fair enough. Here we go. He stares at the photo on the bookshelf, his mother's smile, a stark contrast to the grim reality of his life. He remembers her telling him stories of La Lubra, her voice hushed, her eyes wide with fear. Diane, as a storyboard artist, how would you render that?
All right, I'm back.
He remembers her telling the stories of Loranja.
Yeah.
Well,
Flashback sequence.
you have like a little bubble. You can have a flashback, like in blurry vision, soft focus.
Yeah, that would require a new line and some different art direction, but all right.
Okay.
Ramirez shakes his head, trying to dispel the irrational thoughts. He's a cop, a man of logic and reason, but the events of the past few days have shaken him to his core. He drowns the rest of his whiskey. An empty glass, a symbol of his growing desperation. He knows he needs to find Diego, not just for the boy's sake, but for his own sanity. Dan, how would you show
that? It hasn't stopped.
How would he do that? He would drink and then slam his little cup on the thing and go like, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna go get that."
There you go. That would require a bit of dialogue.
You can't have dialogue.
No, you can do that silently. It's just
okay.
you can have like the flashes of the missing person, and it's like haunting him. Like cut back to him like drinking it, looking more determined. Flashback to the little missing boy, and he's laughing, and it's like slam that fear, and then just walk out.
Yeah, there you go. He turns away from the window, a newfound determination in his eyes. He's not sure what he's up against, but he's not giving up. Not yet. Fade to riverbank night. The moon hangs heavy in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the riverbank. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. Ramirez walks along the water's edge, his footsteps muffled by the soft sand. His flashlight cuts through the darkness, illuminating the gnarled roots of cottonwood trees and the swirling eddies of the river. He stops, his attention drawn to a shadowy figure in the distance. It's a woman, her long hair billowing in the wind, her form barely visible in the moonlight. She stands at the water's edge, her head bowed as if in mourning.
That escalated quickly.
Ramirez's heart pounds in his chest. Could this be the figure from Miss Garcia's nightmare? He quickens his pace, closing the distance between them. The woman doesn't move. Her back still turned.
Hello.
His voice echoes in the stillness, but the woman doesn't respond. He's almost upon her, his hand reaching for his gun. Suddenly, the woman turns. Her face is obscured by shadow, but her eyes gleam with an unnatural light. She opens her mouth, and a piercing wail pierces the air, a sound of pure agony and despair. Ramirez stumbles back, his eyes ringing. The woman lunges towards him, her arms outstretched, her fingers like claws. This is good art. Direction.
Yeah, no, this is good.
Yeah.
I missed all of this in the other pages.
Yeah. He raises his gun but hesitates. There's something about her, something that makes him pause. The woman stops, her eyes locked on his. A single tear rolls down her cheek, shimmering in the moonlight. Then, just as quickly as she appears, she vanishes into the mist. Her wail fading into the night. Ramirez lowers his gun, his hand trembling. He's never
his
been one
flashlight.
for ghost stories. But what he just witnessed defies explanation. Man. As a storyboard artist, how would you show that?
Never been one. That is, let us change that to dialogue.
Okay, yeah, we might need to insert a bit of dialogue there. Yes, yes. He shines his flashlight off.
So I would say that some of that would be direction on the actor.
Yes.
Like that's how the actor should respond. As that's a cue that the director should be giving the actor. That's not necessarily something you would storyboard necessarily.
Yeah, it's something
Yeah, I mean,
kind
the
of like
storyboard is like
a
close up of
line
his face.
that says that there's no such thing as ghost stories.
Yeah.
But then again, he kept on saying like ghost stories. These are all for children.
Well, they are for children. The ghosts only eat the children. The ghost stories are for children. Bing, bang, boom. Square peg, square hole. Let's go.
He shines his flashlight on the ground, searching for any sign of the woman. He finds nothing but a child's shoes half buried in the sand. He picks it up, recognizes it as Diego's. Damn. How would you show that?
Well, hopefully he has very recognizable shoes.
I guess it's a very recognizable shoe. He
had the other shoe in his office. Remember, he was examining that on page 1.
All right.
You could do like a little Toy Story and have his name actually like etched on his shoe.
There you go. He may not believe in ghosts, but he believes in finding this entire paragraph is unfilmable, and he won't this entire paragraph, the whole thing. How do you film that? I don't know.
He may believe in ghosts.
Yeah, how do you film that?
Preston, you film that as he picks it up, and then you do coverage of close up on his face.
Yeah. All right.
Narration. Come on.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, yes. Or
The narration.
following Ray's advice, let's add some VO. That makes it better. VO
Of course.
always makes it better.
There you
That's
go.
what they say, right? Tell, don't show.
It's like some old guy sitting in a chair telling the story. Isn't that how it goes?
Interior library day. Sunlight streams through the dusty windows, illuminating rows of towering bookshelves. The air is thick with the scent of old paper and leather. Ramirez sits hunched over a table with surrounded by a stack of books on local folklore and history. He flips through the pages, his brow furrowed in brow furrowed in concentration. An elderly librarian, her hair a wispy white halo, observes him from behind a nearby counter, her eyes filled with curiosity. Ramirez pauses, his gaze drawn to a passage detailing the legend of La Llorona. He reads aloud, his voice barely a whisper.
La Llorona, the weeping woman. It is said she drowned her own children in a fit of rage, then took her own life in despair. Now her spirit roams the earth, forever searching for her lost children, her cries echoing in the night.
He slams the book shut, a shiver running down his spine.
Just a story, a fairy tale.
The librarian approaches, her footsteps silent on the carpeted floor.
Shh. because that's what a
Some
librarian would
stories
say.
are warnings, detective.
Oh shit.
What a nosy librarian.
And why is she
Librarian
not judging him?
Ramirez looks up, startled by her sudden appearance. Her eyes, magnified by thick glasses, seems to pierce through him.
What do you mean?
The librarian leans closer, her voice barely audible.
La Lorraine is real, detective. And she is not just a story.
Ramirez scoffs, but the librarian's words linger in the air, casting a shadow of doubt on his rational mind.
Be careful, detective.
Now, Diane, how are you going to film words lingering in the air?
I don't.
Roger
Sorry, I was
Rabbit
stealing your
It's
line,
an echo.
Preston.
It's an
literally
echo.
in the air.
Yeah.
It will just go like, it's not just a story. So,
Oh yeah, turn up that reverb. Let's go.
It could be like, like a Goosebumps kind of thing where they're like bubble letters in the sky.
or you can go dun dun dun. So that could be a music cue.
Could be, yeah.
Could be music.
Yeah, but music is post. Come on, you gotta be able to do it on set. Fix it on set.
No,
well,
fix
another
it in
one
post.
is to do like a kind of
Jesus,
like
can you
a
tell I'm a
fast zoom
script
in or
supervisor?
a fast zoom out. That's
Yeah.
another one.
She turns and walks away, her figure
I didn't
disappearing.
say this.
Oh,
Like
go
I
ahead.
didn't say.
Could be
Be
it.
careful, detective. Some waters run deeper than you think.
She turns and walks away, her figure disappearing into the maze of bookshelves. Ramirez stares after her.
She's
On
the
off of on me.
ghost.
What?
She disappears. She's the ghost.
Yeah, yes, but maybe she has a nice ass, and he's looking
Maybe.
after her.
I mean-
if this was a John Lamont story, or even for that matter,
I would be
She wouldn't be
talking about her
wearing
ass as she
trousers.
walks away.
yeah, we would be seeing highlights of her ass as she walks away. But anyway,
Absolutely.
Ramirez, yeah,
Hey, John. Let's see how elderly librarian butt works for your
yeah,
next.
like elderly librarian ass.
It's a MILF.
Yeah,
A
that
MILF.
MILF's got like a hot. We're
Well,
gonna
of
do
course.
like we're gonna
I
do
mean,
a
if I was
limited
gonna do
edition
elderly
whiskey
librarian-
paint print of librarian booty, and 50 backers showed up and said, "Sure, I'll buy it." Anyway, there we go.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, Ramirez stares after her.
maybe I'll hire Garf. I'll hire Garvey.
Yeah,
to
Keith
give
Garvey,
you
I
a-
want you to do,
to do a
an old
MILF
withered lady
librarian.
booty. Go for it.
Well-
I'm not unease.
Like I know
tightening
you
of the
usually
stomach.
do like the college co-ed, but how about giving me a MILF librarian?
Yeah. I mean, I look, I think like Miss Temperance is a MILF librarian. She's not like a teenager. She's like 30s, She's a MILF.
Yeah.
I've said it for a while.
I
like,
wouldn't. I don't know. When I think of MILFs, I don't usually think of people in their 20s and 30s. I
Like
know that
40s?
technically, yes, you can. Anyone that has a child would technically be
yes.
MILF territory. But I just, if you go on Pornhub and you search MILFs, you're not getting 20s and 30s.
I mean, late 30s is definite MILF territory.
Like once
If
you
you
get to
go to-
40, it's
if-
definite.
Yeah. Once you get to 40, oh yeah.
Right. If you go to Pornhub and you search for MILF porn, you're not normally getting 20s and 30s.
Okay, we don't have to have Pornhub be the absolute definer of the
Right. I understand that. And technically, a 22-year-old who had a child could technically also be considered a MILF. But
I think
most
we should
people
check
don't
back with
consider that a
Wikipedia.
MILF.
Hey, it is all inclusive.
Hey,
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's all I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm sorry.
As he
we're
leaves the library, the sunlight feels less warm, the shadows more ominous. Diana,
Oh,
as a storyboard artist,
Jesus.
how would you render that?
Which one is that?
a thermometer
As it
that shows that it's cold.
Yeah, the sunlight feels less warm, the shadows more ominous.
Dark
You
shadows and
know,
a cold thermometer.
There's like a wonderful film called The Stepford Wives, and that is scary as shit, and it's all done in like Technicolor. Like I call it leprechauns vomiting on screen.
There you go.
That's what I call it, because all the horror is in broad daylight.
All right, and then the
So-
next line, he knows he's on the right track, but the path ahead is dark. And how would you show that?
That
That
meme
is
where the
narrow.
guy's standing at Y and there's the dark castle on one side and the light castle on the other.
Yeah, that's true. You could
I've
make
got
it
a
very
better
literal
way.
that way.
I know
It
how
would
you
be that
show
meme.
that.
That's how you show that.
Title drop.
You could have like a little sign that says
Title
right
drop.
way,
is how you
right
say that.
track,
Yeah.
right.
Cut to abandoned mission night under a star-strewn New Mexico sky. The crumbling adobe walls of an old Spanish mission stand silhouetted against the moon. The wind whispers through the broken windows, carrying the distant howl of coyotes. Ramirez's car pulls up, headlines briefly illuminating the graffiti-marred facade. He steps out, the cool desert air, a stark contrast to the warmth of the library. His hand rests on his holstered gun as he approaches the weathered wooden door. Interior, abandoned mission night. The interior is bathed in an eerie moonlight filtered through the gate gaps in the roof. Ramirez's footsteps echo on the stone floor as he cautiously explores the dilapidated sanctuary. Cobwebs cling to the peeling frescoes as the air hangs heavy with the scent of dust and decay. In the side chapel, he finds a makeshift altar adorned with flickering candles, religious icons, and the offering of food and flowers. A handwritten note lies on its base bearing a chilling message. La Verona, we seek your mercy. Ramirez's breath catches in his throat. This feels like the heart of something dark and ancient.
If La Llorona was real, this felt like her kind of place.
Well, thanks for letting us know, Ramirez.
What? He has a voiceover now?
He has a voiceover now. Where was this voiceover 2 pages ago?
I mean, with all the
I
unfilmable
didn't
stuff
know
we
that
have
I
this
was doing
generation,
that
man.
in that library.
We have inner
Now
thought,
I felt like
inner
I was on
monologue
the
now.
right track.
Now all that,
all of a sudden,
all of a sudden, yeah, all of a sudden, all that unfilmable stuff, you could have a voiceover.
Yeah, thanks for showing up. You're a little late to the party, but better late than never. Suddenly, a gust of
mostly
wind,
VO for him.
extinguishes the candle, plunging this chapel into darkness. Ramirez's hand tightens on his gun. Then it comes the wail. It starts a mournful sob that echoes through
Wait.
the mission.
If it's wait. This is an abandoned church with lit candles.
Yes.
But apparently people came in and lit the candles. You could tell because there was a note. This is not the same as the abandoned.
Lorinda did it. Okay.
I find this acceptable.
All right. You could also say that he came in and all of a sudden the candles like mysteriously got lit.
Maybe they were.
That would be spooky.
Could be called.
That would be spooky.
Like, I mean, that would be creepy. Like he comes in,
Culted.
it's all dark, and all of a sudden he tries to like light a match, and all the candles get lit, like suddenly, like just like.
I think of all the creatures that depicted in all the horror stories, I think cultists are some of the worst, like the most frightening, because
They're real.
They represent like reality.
Because they're real.
Yeah,
And it's like talking to a brick wall.
Yeah. They're people. They're out there. They exist, and maybe they want things that are dynamically opposed to your existence, and you can't talk them out of it.
Nope.
Yeah, no.
Nope.
Do it.
No. They're gonna kill you.
They're gonna kill you,
And they don't do it because they necessarily want to. They
Right.
do it for somebody else who just wants it.
It starts low, a mournful sob that echoes through the mission. It builds an intensity crescendo of pain and rage that seems to tear through the very fabric of reality. Ramirez spins around, searching for a source. His eyes adjust to the darkness, but there's no signs of anyone. The wail intensifies, yes, wrapping around him like icy tendrils. I don't know how you show that. Anyway. He stumbles back, his pulse racing, fear, a sensation he hasn't felt in years. How do you show that? I don't know.
Panic,
He's a cop.
fear, anxiety attack.
Ramirez VO. Fear, a sensation I hadn't felt in years.
Yeah, exactly. Grips his heart.
Right, but he's a cop in Albuquerque. How has he not felt fear in years?
He's not just
Like,
hunting a
what-
ghost. Like this whole paragraph is all unfilmable.
I don't
It's
know.
not just hunting a ghost story anymore. This is real.
Look, this was written by a novelist. It's what we're gonna get.
Yes,
All right, fair enough.
that was going to be my comment too. But
Interior abandoned mission night, a piercing scream rips through the darkness, followed by a gut-wrenching thud. Ramirez whips around, his gun drawn. He sweeps his flashlight across the room, the beam bouncing off walls and broken pews. A figure materializes from the shadows, illuminated by a flickering light. It's a woman, her long black hair obscuring her face, her white dress stained with dirt and blood. She crawls on all fours, her movements jerky and unnatural. Ramirez is...
So it's the Ring.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's what I
feels
totally
very
said.
Ringy.
We've seen that the whole time. How have you not noticed that?
Yeah. Ramirez's breath hitches in his throat. He recognizes the figure from the encounter on the riverbank, La Llorona. He takes a step back, his fingers tightening on the trigger.
Quote, "Who are you?" End quote.
The woman raises her head, revealing a face contorted in agony, her eyes filled with chilling emptiness, locking onto Ramirez.
Oh, Miss Hoyos. Miss Hoyos.
I hope that's not like a breakfast dish. Anyway, her voice is a guttural rasp filled with the otherworldly sorrow. She lunges towards Ramirez, her fingers outstretched like claws. Ramirez fires a warning shot in the air. The sound deafens in the echoing space. La Llorona pauses, her head cocked to the side like a curious animal.
Quote, "Stay back." End quote.
Apparently, you're going to put some lead in the bitch there. La Llorona ignores his warning, advancing with a guttural growl. Ramirez fires another shot, this time aiming for her legs. The bullet passes through her as if it were made of smoke. She lets out a
Cops
piercing
don't
shriek.
aim for the legs. They aim for
Her
the center
eyes
of mass.
blazing with rage, Ramirez stumbles back, tripping over a falling candle holder. He falls to the ground, his gun clattered away. La Llorona pounces, her long nails raking across his face. He cries out in pain, scrambling to his feet. He sprints towards the exit, his heart pounding in his chest. He bursts through the door, gasping for air. Interior Ramirez's apartment day. The morning sun streams through the blinds, casting harsh lines across Ramirez's face. He sits at the kitchen table, nursing a cup of coffee and examining the fresh scratches on his cheek. His eyes are bloodshot, his expression grim. He reaches for a bottle of antiseptic and a cotton ball, wincing as he dabs at his wounds. The events of the previous night replay in his mind, a chilling loop of terror and disbelief. See, I was about to say, man, you can film everything in here, and then you give me that one. All right. His phone.
We're on page 11.
Yeah, I think page 1 was the title page. Was page 1 a title page? Let me check real quick. Hold on.
Was that a title page?
Replay on the page. Page 1 was not a title page. All right. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are through 10 pages of supernatural terror. Sometimes bordering on the quasi-unfilmable, but always filled with atmosphere. We have Ramirez, the detective, who's out investigating a ghost. And crazy stuff happens.
Oh, he had a comment.
Oh, snap. Hold on. What is his...
Preston, you muted yourself.
He's
So
reading
anyway,
it
I
to
guess-
himself.
Maybe all that whiskey finally hit him.
Yeah, it's hit that. Preston's been hitting the bottle kind of hard tonight. Must be some good news. Well, I guess I'll start since Preston's muted until he figures out what's going on. So again,
what's it called?
Huh?
We read
You say-
Draco Knox's whatever, and
Yeah.
now we're going to say nice things about it, John.
Right. No, again, art direction was great. Very beautifully done. Some of the story concepts seemed, properly within the genre of horror and film noir, because I think there was a little bit of that you were trying to do. So I kind of feel like that was headed in the right direction.
Ray, what do you think of whatever it is we just read?
I didn't catch all of it, but from what I caught, it sounded like a pretty spooky story. I think like you add in the narration there, and it would make a lot more sense. Like these guys were saying, like it didn't really flow with it with the
We're just saying the good things right now. We're moving on to
Oh, yeah. It seemed like a pretty spooky story from what I heard, and
yeah,
it's a good start.
I agree with everyone. The prose is really strong. The setting and character are reasonably well conceived, and if you're going for a supernatural noir, this certainly is one of them. Okay, constructives. Well, Ray was already started, so Ray, why don't you finish your thought there?
Oh, okay. Yeah, like I said, like I think adding in the narration might tie it together a bit more. You could, I think maybe if you kind of broke it up a little though, so maybe you could start off with the narration of explaining what's about to happen, sort of thing, and then maybe near the end or like right at the end, basically you kind of sum it up with the rest of it. It might kind of tie it together better, my opinion.
John?
Yeah, so I think it was more noticeable here than it was in your earlier script because Ray, do you mind muting yourself? You've got some really bad feedback that's giving my so it was more noticeable here than in your earlier script because your earlier script was just so god awful all over the place. This one, it was more noticeable that this is obviously a novel that you're converting into a screenplay. And there's nothing wrong with that on the face of it, but it brought up that you're not super familiar with screenplay craft, and I think that really shows here with the number of unfilmable scenes and the way that you just describe certain things. A director and a film crew is just not going to know what to do with it. So I think it would benefit you a lot if you study more on actual screenplay craft. And when you do your novel to screenplay conversions, it is not the same medium, and so it's a lot. So it's a lot more than just changing all your verb tense, because I know novels a lot of times are past tense and screenplays are present tense, and it's super easy to go through and just change all your verb tenses and put your dialogue in these little boxes. But there's a lot more to it than that, and I think it would benefit you from studying more on screenplay craft, and I think it would fix a lot of the issues that you were dealing with here. Especially a good example, especially if you want to go into more supernatural noir, then a lot of those is, like that old grizzled detective who's constantly monologuing to himself, and that would fix a lot of your problems in the suit that you want to do. But you also have to be consistent with it too. But I'm sure Daniel will go into that more. I just think if you study screenplay craft a lot more, I think it'll fix a lot of the issues in this particular story.
Yeah, I don't actually have much to add here. This sounds like a novel that if I bought it from you at a convention, I would not be unhappy to read it. So that's good. You're good at that. Your description's solid. I don't really have a problem. I mean, you got a quantity problem, but in terms of the presence of it, like some unfilmable bullshit is fine. You've got to set your scene somehow, and sometimes you do want your actors or whatever to know what's going on with the character, or it's an excuse to insert something later. So it's okay to have some of that in your script, I guess, as long as there's a filmable verb somewhere in that action line. It's kind of a pass from me. Although it did get reasonably egregious, it wasn't like entirely unfilmable paragraphs. So sort of a pass there. Yeah, I mean, in terms of a screenplay, I don't know. My big problem with this right now is I don't know what your overall format is. Is this a feature screenplay? Is this a TV episode? Is this a short film? Because your structure is terrible for a short film, but it's fine for like a 45-minute TV episode. So you've got to write to your format. Like, are there act breaks? Like, are there jobs that each portion of the script has to do, or are you just exploring this as some kind of screenplay? And that was so unclear. It made the nature of some of your description and your extended scenes with no dialogue a little bit more distracting than they would have been if we knew where you were going with this, like, True Detective or whatever. So yeah, you're fine the screenplay format, but also like what kind of screenplay. So that's all I've got. Now, I know that's very technical, like production shit, but if you're writing, a 45-minute show with act breaks, that's a very different structure than, a 3-act like feature screenplay or whatever. All right, and so Preston is still gone, so I guess we're all just going to leave him here.
There we go. Well, okay, well, I don't know how that happened. Anyway.
Preston, were you muted? You muted yourself, and you're so drunk that you didn't realize that we had just went through all of our comments and criticisms while you were still giving yours.
I mean, maybe, but I didn't.
Yes,
I didn't click that. I clicked the mute here on the microphone. I don't know how that other mute got happening, but whatever. Okay. I don't know why we're.
Well, would you have any comments to add to Danny or Ray or my comments?
First of all, I don't know why we're attacking Preston's state of inebriation. I feel like
because it's an easy target, and they
because it's funny.
It's funny. All right,
it is, and it's totally obvious since the moment we went live.
Anyway,
I was playing with this like little liquor glass, going like, "Why is this here?"
Because.
I mean,
these things happen, guys.
There we
if
go.
I didn't have to get up for work tomorrow, I probably would be drunk with you. So.
Fuck yeah! All right, there's a spirit.
Some of us have a day job.
Hey, I've got a rum poured right now, so I'm with Preston on this already.
There we go. So as I was, all right. So we got Ramirez. We got some ghosts. The ghosts are creepy. I'm not sure what the conflict is. I mean, I got like Ramirez versus the supernatural, I guess. But what's the greater story here? I'm not.
He's trying to find the missing children.
Okay. And what happens then? Why are the missing children important outside of the fact they're children?
Well, here's my little 2 cents is that we do not know Diego enough in the very beginning. He has like a couple of lines, says mama, and then he gets taken. I would love to see more of him, so we actually feel empathy for him. I think.
Wow.
Are you all right?
Ray, feedback.
That's not me. That's not me.
Sorry, guys.
Danny's sneezing, but it's feedbacking off of your mic, Ray.
Oh, that's weird. I got nothing even playing in the background.
Okay, so
that's
basically, like, I want to give an example with like the remake of It, the first part 1, where the little boy is rejected by the older brother. He goes out and plays by himself, and then is attacked. He's seduced technically by like Pennywise.
Everything floats down here.
Everything floats down here.
Floats.
And you could have like this kind of like seduction scene, or he goes out curiously and it follows him, and then he runs and he's like this scared little puppy, and you feel for this kid. And not only that, but the thing is that this is happening to every other kid.
Yes.
And then every other kid. And so when you see all the missing children.
Yeah, when you see a kid either alive or dead, it's either, Pennywise got that kid.
Yeah.
Or Pennywise is going to get that kid.
Or Pennywise is going to get that kid.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you say. In a way, as much as the mother is there, I'm like, I would love to hear like a brother or a sister. And like their perspective on it is like, it came for me, but I didn't go. But he went.
Yeah.
And then you would have like this having the child.
Good idea.
Having the child like retell the story.
Yeah.
It should have been me.
Yeah, there we go.
It should have been me. I could have saved my brother. I could have saved that.
You know what? These are great script notes.
Thank you. But that is actually, and then you kind of like you have to cry for this child. And it's not only that, but it's like every child on there has their own little story.
Yeah.
Has their own story. So once you go there, and that would also really make Melendez really go like, yeah, I got to get this guy, because maybe she's going to be next.
Okay.
Do you still hear her? I do.
There we
Like,
go.
you know, do you still
And-
hear her? She still calls, but I'm too scared to go. But I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one who hears her. So
Yeah.
you can do that, and it's ominous. It's a lot of tension in that, and
Mhm.
you can go that because it's like the child's perspective. You're seeing it from the adults, but you're not seeing it from the child's perspective. That's where the terror is. That's where that horror aspect is, and you can bring that in. But it's now in the they're retelling it to the adults. And also with all this saying like I have never felt fear like this before. I mean, like that will all recycle,
Yeah.
and you have a motif.
And
So-
you know, I'm reminded a small amount
Mhm.
of Evil Dead 2,
Oh,
which was a good film.
yeah, we were okay. Is
But
that through the documentary that I was watching?
I mean, sure, there's some of that, but look, it's Ash versus the supernatural.
Yes.
Is like the greater thing there.
Yeah,
Why does Ash have to vanquish the supernatural? Well, reasons. I mean, they're not as emotionally compelling as though they're children that are missing and
Yeah.
a ghost after them.
well, they took his girlfriend and his friends.
Sure, yeah.
and
Here, there's a ghost after
they're
children.
taking his hand.
Yes, that's
And
what
they
I
took his
said.
hand.
But the hand thing, that was a big scene. There was a multi-minute scene
Mhm.
of Ash battling himself,
Yeah.
cutting off his own hand, and goes, "Who's laughing now?"
Who's
right,
laughing now?
right, which shows us like we have a very crazed protagonist,
Mhm.
who is being taunted by these supernatural forces, and has no problem resorting to violence, and is quasi-psychotic.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
and like I'm sitting here wondering about Ramirez. Like if I see Ramirez do something crazy, like cutting off his own hand in his battle with the supernatural, I'm gonna go, oh shit.
yeah,
Right. But
I mean, like this
yeah.
this person was chasing him.
Right.
If he got injured,
Yeah.
he got injured in some way. Like there's proof, and he can't say it's a fairy tale anymore because he got hurt.
Mhm.
Well, then again, he got his face scratched, but he's still going like it's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
His face just got scratched. It's like how do you not admit that
And
it's
this
real
entire
now?
conflict of the problem is the internal conflict of Ramirez's doubt versus the reality of the supernatural in this story is poorly rendered, right? It's often on unfilmables of Ramirez's private thoughts, which are not voiced.
Mhm.
And I would like that to be addressed because that is the primary conflict of this story. This story is Ramirez versus the supernatural and the relationship therein. And a lot of it, the prime thing of why the hell is he here? Why is he doing this? Why is the supernatural really motivating this guy to find these lost children? Was attacked by a ghost.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about like one of my favorite childhood shows, which is The Real Ghostbusters.
Go ahead.
Okay, and there's an episode called I believe it's called like Enter the Boogeyman. This is like one of the first episodes came out. That episode still stays with me to this day.
Okay.
Basically, the character of Egon, they like two kids come to the Ghostbusters and they said like the boogeyman's in our closet, and we want you to go get it and basically chase him away and scare him away because he's scaring us. And I will give you all the money in our piggy bank.
Yeah.
And Egon's like, what? The boogeyman? And basically you find out that he tells the tale that the boogeyman used to scare me in my closet too.
Mhm.
So he had a history, and that's why he was like, I'm going to go get this. I'm going to save these kids. And that is like the scientist. That's the Stoddard character.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I have motivation now. This is almost against his character because he's usually very calm and collected. There he is not.
There you go.
And so you can have Ramirez to have like some association in the past. Like he heard of her and then thought it was just childhood fancies, like it was a dream. And then it's just kind of like, no, that didn't really happen to me or whatever. So you could have that, or that is more determined to do that.
I just thought of something I can have Ramirez as a young boy have an encounter with there, but he doesn't remember if I bring in a sister or a brother to retell
the story.
retail story, he can have a flashback.
It's true. You can do that. Maybe he was a baby, like 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't
So-
remember that. He wouldn't remember that, but the sister could. So yeah.
Did you guys remember seeing a movie? It was a horror movie from like 15, maybe even 20 years ago called Darkness Falls.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of like what you're saying too, because Darkness Falls is the premise. I believe he was like suffering from like PTSD from attack of the supernatural that happened to him when he was a child, and now he's an adult. And I think the girl that he's dating, her kid is being attacked. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, and I'm not a huge fan of horror movies, so I didn't really go seeking it out later. But I do remember finding that one to be pretty intense. But it was kind of the same concept where the main character gets thrust back into this, like he feels like he finally vanquished his demons as he's an adult now, in fact, and he's thrown back into it because the girl that he's dating, um, her son, who is the same age he was when the darkness came after him, is now the darkness is going after her son for reasons I don't even remember. But yeah, it was kind of like what you're saying. You just kind of reminded me of that. Is if he had
Yeah.
a previous episode and now all of a sudden it's coming back, maybe he, even as a rational, scientifically minded person, just said, "Oh no, I just imagined it," and like I don't, like I'm over that now. Like like, and then
Well,
he realizes, oh, maybe
un-
it was more real than I remember.
Okay. Well, that actually works also, but another one could be that he has his own child. He has a child himself. Maybe a divorce, maybe it's joint custody, or he wants joint custody, like he lost it, but maybe because he's drinking, like Preston. So,
If you've been through the shit I've been through, you would understand.
That went full circle, didn't
maybe he
it?
had maybe. So I'm kidding, of course. So, I'm teasing him, but I'm saying like say that he has a child and the child is now going to be a future victim. That would certainly motivate him, and you don't have to have like a sister or Ramirez having a history. Right. You have like Diego and his stuff, and maybe the sister retelling it, and then you have like a son or a or daughter, something like that, some child that he is associated with, like a son. And the thing is that he is trying to reconnect to this child, or some conflict there, but basically the child is going to be the next victim. So,
or if you want to do something psychological, maybe he starts to get confused as to whether it's his own kid that's being haunted or some other kid, like the kid he's investigating. And then you can play with some psychological thriller there too, where he gets him confused. Maybe maybe he'll show up at the wrong house. He breaks and enters into somebody's house thinking it's his own house because his kid lives there, who turns out, nope, that's not your kid, that's somebody else's kid. And
well, the thing is also that he could say, like, a different scene, another kid is being threatened, he sees that, and he says his son's name. And therefore,
there's different ways to play it depending on what kind of.
It kind of depends on how you do it. You could do it a number of ways. But the crux of it is like, why is he so determined? That gives him motivation. Obviously, you don't want kids to be to do that, but that adds another layer to the character. Another one is that he brings his work home, and the child sees all these missing kids. That's another one. And maybe just thinking about the Lorinda, that's what brings her. And therefore you can establish rules of like the rules of what the ghost does. Like, oh, if they never heard of her, she can't get you. But then if you heard of her, she comes.
Like saying Bloody Mary in the mirror.
Yeah, it's like saying Bloody Mary, and then like it's saying there. It's like, you're not supposed to say her name. Well, I said it. So or just thinking about it, or you did a ritual or something like that. For Lorinda, it's really, I believe there are certain rules for her. I'm not entirely sure what they are, but I know that she goes specifically after children, and or he has a storybook and tells the story.
We know it's really cool. We have an authentic John Lamont script submitted to us.
Okay.
Thank you, John. You know, congratulations on your latest Kickstarter. How many dollars you at now? Almost $9,000.
That's
No,
what
I
he said.
broke 10 about 15
Jesus
minutes ago.
Christ! Wow, we are privileged.
Guys, it is getting very late for me, so
Okay.
I'm going to have to pass on this for the evening.
Oh, do we
That's
want
fine.
to do this next week then?
We can do it
Yeah,
next week.
I've got a pretty bad cold, so like I just need the
All right,
rest.
fair enough. Okay,
Whoa. There's another one. He said another.
hold on.
There you go.
Really interesting concept. I'm definitely going to rewrite it.
Which
There
Fair
you go,
enough.
breakout.
mom? So his mom got killed by the tooth fairy.
Oh shit! So he was in a mental house. She contacted him because her younger brother is suffering the same effects he did when he was younger.
Oh, is this
Cool.
like later in the script?
I don't know.
So,
That's cool backstory and stuff.
but yeah, we haven't.
Yeah.
I guess we haven't got there yet.
I mean, that's not in the pages we wrote, but
Yeah.
or read, but fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool story, bro. All right. Well, then next week we'll look at, we got more La Vigilante because I know.
Oh boy.
How much Danny loves La Vigilante.
I actually
I don't have
asked,
enough La Vigilante in my life. That's why I keep
I
coming
actually
back
asked
every week.
Kristen this is like, is Love Vigilante trademarked? Because it seems like a character that already exists.
I
It's
mean,
so
the
not.
character feels like many characters, like Batman, like Daredevil, whatever. But like,
No, there's
the
like
female
there's
version.
like a DC character called Vigilante.
But
But
like
La
whether there's a
Vigilante.
specific trademark on Vigilante related to comic book folks that this might run afoul.
Yeah.
Consult your own legal counsel and let me know. What
I don't know. You know, they just did a Supergirl comic on Kickstarter not long ago there. That was a complete ripoff.
I mean, what was it called?
Is it with Supergirl with a dash?
I can't even remember what it was. I think it was like Adventures of Supergirl or something.
I mean, there were like blatant rips, and I gotta say the blatant rips of, surprisingly, the blatant rips of DC and, you know, which I think is under Warner Brothers, and the Marvel characters which run to Disney.
Mhm.
Surprisingly, the blatant rips, they kind of give a pass to, because they're like, it's so close to ours that there's an obvious trademark issue there that we could bring up whenever we wanted to.
Are you talking about Captain Marvel?
Sure. I mean,
No, there's an entire like litigation.
Yes,
thing
I know
on
there's
that.
an entire litigation
on
there,
that.
but I'm
yeah.
saying modernly.
Yeah.
And then there's that story that happened with Keith Garvey. You heard about that one, right?
No, I didn't. Tell me about the Keith Garvey story.
No, see you, Danny. So Keith Garvey put out that what was it, Nazis, and I can't remember what the heck it was. Some kind of Nazi thing. I hate Nazis or something dumb.
Okay.
It was called. I can't remember exactly, but so he put that book out, and somebody copyrighted it on him, and they put a complaint in on Kickstarter, and he actually had his
campaign
taken down.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's actually, it turned out he got his rights back for it, but it turns out that there's actually people on Kickstarter just looking to like basically blackmail people to maybe get paid for their title so they can actually run it. So I guess we got to be careful of what we're putting out there for our titles on social medias or whatever, because he had like a few months hype to it, right? So I'm putting this I Hate Nazis book out, and somebody caught wind of it and copyrighted
you know
it on
who's
it.
never run afoul of trademark or copyright is the amazing John Lamont. John, how did you manage?
Write original stories.
That helps. That
with
really
original
helps.
characters.
Yes, that also helps. I have also never run afoul of copyright or trademark issues outside of my extended many-year litigation over the term Comicscape, but that's a separate issue.
Asterisk. Asterisk.
Yeah.
Little asterisk.
Very long and decorated issue, yes.
Yeah.
Little asterisks.
But yeah, outside of like story elements and characters, neither John or I have had any issues so far. So I don't know. I feel like if you write fairly original stuff, you'll be okay.
Well, I think he did. He actually did. I think just somebody caught wind of it and was just, going against them just for the whole idea of it, just
Okay,
just
cool.
in spite, right? Maybe thinking they'd get a payday from him. I don't know.
Sure, look, I understand like trademark trolling and patent trolling and all that. Really interesting concept. Definitely going to rewrite it. And thanks for Darkness Falls. John mentioned it.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's for Darkness Falls.
All right. Well, next week we will have Danny return, and I am waiting with great anticipation to read some authentic John Lamont original material, as well as more pages of La Vigilante. Next week is sounding amazing.
Is it the same pages?
I don't know, but they're pages that were submitted today as opposed to pages that were submitted previously.
Okay.
So as far as we're concerned, they're new.
Unless they're the same pages with minor changes.
In which case they're old. Well, we'll find out
Next week.
Next week. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in. Congratulations once again, John, for the Spirit of the Dragon 5 and also trade paperback campaign currently on Kickstarter. Over $10,000 in the first day and a half.
Yeah, congrats, John. Excellent.
Thanks, man.
Did you ever envision yourself as being this successful way back when you were doing issue 1?
I hoped.
You hoped. All right. Awesome. There you go. Dream big. And one day you too can be like John Lamont. Fantastic. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you later.